Hello YouTube! We're on the Real Programming channel. I'm its host, my name is Andrei, welcome. Greet you. This is our 24th lesson. We are talking about HTML and JavaScript, and we will talk about how we test constructors in JavaScript. And for start, there are no dumb questions. What's the real difference between a function and a method? After all, if they are the same things, why call them something different? By convention, if an object has a function, we call that a method. They both work the same way, except that you invoke an object method, the dot operator, and the method can use this to access the object on which the method is invoked. Think of a function as a standalone piece of code you can invoke, and a method as behavior that is attached to a specific object. So, when I create objects with a constructor and those objects have a method, then all of those objects share the same code for that method. That's right, and that's one of the advantages of object-oriented programming. You can create the code for that class of object. Say all your dog objects in one place and all the dogs share it. Now the way you make it specific to each dog is with your properties and using this to access those properties. Can I set this to value of my choosing, and if I do, will that mess things up? No, you can set this to anything. Remember, this is a keyword, not a variable. It looks and acts a bit like one, but it's not a variable. Does this have a value outside of an object method? No, if you are not invoking an object method, then this is indefinite. So, the way to think about this is when I will invoke a method on an object, the value of this is set there to that object the entire time the method is being evaluated. And the answer, within the body of the object, yes, this will always be the object itself. There are some advanced cases where it may not be true. For instance, things get more complicated when you have object-oriented objects, and if you start doing that, you'll need to look up the semantics. But this is a good general rule. I have heard that in object-oriented programming, I can have classes of objects and they can inherit from each other. Like, I could have a mammals class that both dogs and cats inherit from. Can I do that in JavaScript? You can. JavaScript uses something called prototypal inheritance, which is an even more powerful model than strictly class-based models. Getting into prototypal inheritance is a little beyond the scope of these books, but who knows, we could be in one set to write more on JavaScript. So, when we say a new date with two brackets, we are using a constructor, right? Yes, good catch. That is built in a constructing JavaScript. When you say new date with two brackets, you get a date object with a bunch of yourself methods you can use to manipulate the date. What's the difference between objects we write out ourselves and the ones we created with a constructor? Then the main difference is how you create them. Objects you write out yourself using curly breaks and comma separate properties are known as object literals. You literally type them into your code. If you want another one like it, you have to type it in yourself and make sure it's got the same properties. Objects created by a constructor are created by using new and constructor function, which returns the objects. You can use the constructor function to create many objects that have the same properties but different property values, if you want. Exercise code magnets. A working movie constructor functions was on the bridge, but some of the magnets fell on the floor. Can you help get it back together? Be careful, some extra magnets may have already been on the ground and might distract you. So, this is our solution. If you're ready, let's go. If you're not ready, take a pause. And remember, don't forget, you will find all the code and materials and materials of this lesson under this video in description link to Google Drive. Okay, this is our code magnet solution. This is a constructor, so we are using a movie for the name we pass in value. For the properties, we want to customize the title, genre, rating, and show times, and initialize the properties. To refer to properties in the objects, we need to use this in the keyword. Don't forget to end this statement with a semicolon, a leftover magnets. So, test drive your construct right off the factory floor. Now that you got a movie constructor, it's time to make some movie objects. Go ahead and type in the movie constructor function and then add the code below and take your constructor for a spin. We think you'll agree this is a much easier way to create objects. So let's look on simplify text on our code. So first we'll create a movie object for the movie Buckaroo Banzai, or one of cult classic favorites. We pass in the value for the parameters. Notice we can put the array value for showtimes right in the function call. And the next, plan 9 from outer space. And of course, Forbidden Planet. Once we got all our objects created, we can call the get next showing method and alert the user for the next showing times. Okay, so now you might have started to notice and that objects are all around you. For instance, document and window are objects. As are the elements we get back from document.getElementById, and these are just a few of many objects we'll be encountering when we get to the HTML APIs. We'll be seeing objects everywhere. Let's take a second look at some of the objects you've been using all along in this book. Some of these objects we've already run into. And we draw objects like this is the show properties at the top and methods at the bottom, so you get a quick summary of the objects, its property and methods at one glance. What is window objects anyway? When you write in code or for the browser, the window objects is always going to be a part of your life. The window objects represents both the global environment for your JavaScript programs and the main window of your app, and as such it contains many core properties and methods. Let's take a look at it. Here is our window objects with a few notable properties and methods you'll want to know about. There are many more. Location holds the URL of their page. If you change in the browser retrieves the new URL. Status hold the string that is displayed in the status area of your browser. You've seen the alert method is displayed in alert. Opens a new browser window and close the window, and invokes a handler on a specific time interval or invokes a handler after the specific time interval. And the property is like alert, except it gets information from the user. The document properties holds the DOM, and you certainly seen this before. Unload is the property that holds the function to call when the page is full loaded. Okay, And window is a global objects. A closer look at window.unload. We will talk about this in the next lesson. And for this, and here is our 24th lesson about HTML and JavaScript is over. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Please put like, share with friends, comment, eat bananas, drink more water for the brain, do exercise every evening, meditate. So that's all. Thank you. Bye.